Anna was born in a small village surrounded by tall trees and green hills. The houses were small, and most people worked on farms or in the village market. Anna's home was a little cottage with a red roof, and inside it was warm and cozy. The walls were painted white, and there were colorful flowers in pots on the windowsills. Anna's family lived here. Her father, mother, little brother, and her grandmother. Her father was a farmer. Every day he worked hard in the fields, planting corn, beans, and potatoes. He would wake up early, just as the sun began to rise. His face was always full of dust from the fields, but his smile was wide, and his eyes sparkled with happiness whenever he came home. He would tell Anna stories about his work, how the plants grew strong with care and love, just like people. Anna's mother was a seamstress. She made clothes for the people in the village. Every morning, she would sit at her sewing machine, her hands moving quickly, stitching colorful fabrics together. She made dresses, shirts, and even blankets. Anna would sit by her mother's side, watching as the clothes took shape, and sometimes she would help by picking out buttons or threading the needles. Even though Anna's family wasn't rich, they were happy. They had enough food, a warm home, and lots of love. Every evening, after dinner, Anna would sit with her grandmother. Her grandmother was a kind and wise woman who always had a story to tell. She would tell Anna about the days when she was young, living in another village far away. Anna loved to listen to her stories about the old days when life was hard, but people still worked together and helped each other. Her grandmother always said, "Hard work and hope will help you through anything." Anna felt safe in her little home. She played with her younger brother, picking flowers in the fields or chasing butterflies. She loved those moments, running in the soft grass, laughing with her brother, and feeling the warm sun on her face. Life was simple, but Anna didn't mind. She didn't know about the struggles outside her village. All she knew was that she had a loving family and a beautiful home. And for Anna, that was enough. When Anna was about 7 years old, something happened that changed her life. Her mother started to feel very sick. At first, Anna didn't understand what was happening. Her mother just seemed a little tired, resting in bed more than usual. But soon, Anna could see that her mother was getting weaker every day. Her father tried to comfort her, but he was worried too. He spoke to the doctors, but they said there was nothing they could do. Anna didn't know exactly what the doctors meant, but she could tell from their sad faces that they couldn't help her mother. Anna spent all her time by her mother's side, sitting next to her, holding her hand. Sometimes her mother would smile at Anna, but it was a tired smile, like she was too weak to smile fully. One day, Anna woke up early, just like every other morning. But when she went to her mother's room, her father was sitting next to her mother, holding her hand. Her mother was no longer moving. It was a sad day, the day Anna's mother passed away. Anna didn't understand why it happened. She had never seen death before, and it was hard for her to believe that her mother was really gone. Her father cried, and her grandmother held Anna close, telling her to remember all the love her mother had given her. Anna felt a deep emptiness inside her. She missed her mother's warm hugs and her soft voice. But her grandmother told her, "You have to remember the good things. Your mother loved you so much. She worked hard for you. And now you have to live for her too." Anna didn't know if she could, but she promised to try. Life changed after that. Her father worked harder than ever, trying to care for the family. But there was a sadness in his eyes, and he didn't smile as much. Anna tried to help, but she was just a little girl. She missed her mother's laugh, the smell of the warm bread she used to bake, and the feeling of her soft hands brushing Anna's hair. After Anna's mother passed away, the home felt quieter and emptier. Her father was more serious now. He worked in the fields from dawn until sunset, barely stopping to rest. His face became lined with worry, and the smile that had once been so bright was now rare. Anna missed the laughter and the warmth that her mother had brought to their home. But she understood that her father was trying his best to keep the family together. Anna did her best to help. She took care of her younger brother, making sure he was fed and kept busy with little tasks. She also tried to help with the housework, sweeping the floors, cleaning the windows, and making the beds. But there was always more work to be done, and sometimes Anna felt like she was losing her strength. One day, a man came to their house. He was from another village, and he seemed very important. His clothes were fancy, and he spoke with a voice that sounded strong and confident. He greeted Anna's father, saying he had a proposal for him. Anna's father invited the man inside, and they spoke for a long time. Anna didn't understand everything they talked about, but she noticed that her father's face grew more serious as the conversation continued. The man offered Anna's father a deal. He said that if Anna's father sent Anna to work for his family, he would give him money to help support the family. Anna's father listened carefully. He was tired, and it was clear that he wanted to do whatever he could to make sure they survived. At first, Anna didn't understand. She loved her home and didn't want to leave. Her father was all she had left, and she couldn't imagine living anywhere else. But the man promised that Anna would be well cared for, and that she would have a better life with his family. After a long time, her father agreed. Anna was to leave her home and work for the man's family. Anna didn't want to leave. She cried when she heard the news. Her grandmother comforted her, saying, "Sometimes we must do things we don't want to do, but this will help your father, and you'll make new friends." Anna hugged her grandmother tightly and promised to write letters whenever she could. That night, Anna lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. She didn't know what was waiting for her in the new place. Would they treat her well? Would she ever see her father again? The thought of leaving her home was hard, but she knew there was nothing she could do. The next morning, she packed her things into a small bag and said goodbye to her father and grandmother. She felt a heavy weight in her chest as she walked away from her home. Anna arrived at the man's house later that day. The house was much bigger than her own. It had tall windows, and the walls were painted in bright colors. Inside, it was a little cold, and Anna felt nervous. She was shown to a small room where she would sleep, and the woman of the house, who was kind and gentle, introduced herself as Mrs. Roberts. Mrs. Roberts smiled at Anna, telling her that she would be well taken care of. She had a soft voice that made Anna feel a little better. "You'll be part of our family now," Mrs. Roberts said. "I'm sure you'll like it here." Anna wasn't sure if she would like it, but she tried to be brave. She helped Mrs. Roberts with the chores around the house, cleaning the floors, washing the dishes, and cooking meals. At first, Anna missed her old life, but she soon found that she was good at the work. She did her tasks quickly, making sure everything was clean and tidy. The other children in the house, who were much older than Anna, didn't talk to her much, but she kept busy with her work. One day, after a long day of chores, Mrs. Roberts called Anna into the kitchen. She had made a special dessert just for her, a sweet pie filled with berries. Anna's mouth watered as the warm pie was placed before her. Mrs. Roberts smiled at her and said, "I know it's hard, but you're doing well, Anna. You've been such a help to this family." Anna smiled shyly and thanked her. It was the first time since she had arrived that she felt truly appreciated. Days turned into weeks, and Anna began to adjust. The house was big, and sometimes it felt lonely, but she had her chores to keep her busy. One of the older children, a boy named Mark, began to talk to Anna more. He showed her how to care for the animals, especially the chickens. Anna liked Mark. He was kind, and he helped her when she didn't understand something. They spent time together, feeding the animals and playing games in the yard after the work was done. Anna still missed her father and grandmother, but she felt a little less lonely now. She worked hard, and over time, she became a part of the family. They treated her well, and Mrs. Roberts continued to be kind to her. But still, something inside Anna told her that there was more to life than this. She had heard stories from other workers in the village about people who were free, who worked for themselves and didn't have to answer to anyone. Anna dreamed of one day being free, but she didn't know how to make that happen. As Anna grew older, she worked even harder. She helped with the cooking, cleaning, and the farm chores. She fed the animals, picked vegetables from the garden, and learned how to take care of the farm's crops. But despite all the work, Anna couldn't forget the dream of freedom that lingered in her heart. She wanted to be in control of her own life, to make her own decisions, to be free to do what she wanted. One evening, while she was sitting in the kitchen after finishing her chores, Mrs. Roberts came in with some sad news. The man who had brought Anna to the house, the one who had made the deal with her father, had passed away. Anna didn't know how to feel about it. The man had been strict and often distant, but she remembered that he had kept his promise to her father. Now, Mrs. Roberts had to take over everything. She was in charge of the house, the farm, and all the workers. Anna wasn't sure what this would mean for her. Would she stay with the family, or would she be sent away to another job? The thought of leaving again filled her with worry. As the days passed, Anna began to wonder about her future. She had heard stories from other workers about women who had left their jobs to start new lives. They didn't work for anyone anymore. They had their own homes, their own businesses. Anna thought about this a lot, and each day the idea of freedom seemed more real. Maybe one day she could have that life too. One bright morning, Anna was called to Mrs. Roberts' room. She had been working in the garden, picking herbs, when one of the servants came to tell her that Mrs. Roberts wanted to speak with her. Anna's heart skipped a beat. She wasn't sure what the conversation would be about, but she knew it was important. When Anna entered Mrs. Roberts' room, the older woman was sitting by the window, looking out at the fields. The light from the sun made her silver hair shine brightly. She smiled when she saw Anna, but there was a serious look in her eyes. "Anna," Mrs. Roberts began, "I've been thinking about you a lot lately. You've grown into a strong young woman, and I can see how hard you work. You've done so much for our family, and I believe it's time you had a choice in what comes next for you." Anna looked at Mrs. Roberts, surprised. She had never been asked to make a decision before, and the thought of having control over her future felt strange. She didn't know what to say. Mrs. Roberts continued, "You have two options now. You can stay here with us and continue working, or you can leave and try to make your own life. The choice is yours, Anna." For a moment, Anna was speechless. The idea of leaving everything she knew, even though she had dreamed of it, seemed impossible. She had always thought she didn't have a choice. But now, Mrs. Roberts was offering her the freedom to decide. Anna's mind raced. She loved the family, and Mrs. Roberts had always been kind to her. But in her heart, she knew she wanted more. She wanted to live her own life, to make her own decisions, to be free. "I think I want to leave," Anna said softly, her voice trembling slightly. Mrs. Roberts looked at Anna with a soft smile. "I knew you'd say that. You're ready, Anna. You've always had the strength inside you. I'll help you in any way I can." Anna felt a weight lift from her shoulders. She had made the right choice, and for the first time in years, she felt truly free. She could start her own life now. Anna left the big house and walked into the world she had only dreamed about. The road ahead was uncertain, but she felt stronger than ever before. She traveled to the nearest town, where she found a small house to rent. It wasn't much, but it was hers. It had a cozy little kitchen, a soft bed, and a table where she could write letters or do her work. For the first time, Anna was truly on her own. She found work as a seamstress, just like her mother had been. Anna had learned how to sew when she was young, and she was good at it. She made clothes for the people in the town, dresses, shirts, and even quilts for the cold winter nights. People admired her work, and she began to earn enough money to live comfortably. At first, Anna missed the big house and the family she had left behind. She missed the sounds of children playing, the smell of Mrs. Roberts' cooking, and the warmth of a full house. But she soon realized that she was happy. She was her own person now, and she could do anything she set her mind to. As time passed, Anna made many new friends in the town. She met other women who, like her, had started their own businesses. They shared stories and advice, helping each other grow. Anna learned about the ways of the world, how to take care of her finances, and how to protect her independence. She grew stronger and more confident every day. Though Anna had faced many challenges, she knew that she had made the right choice. She was free, and she had created a life for herself, one that was full of possibilities. Years passed, and Anna's life continued to flourish. She had saved enough money to buy a larger house, one with a small garden and a few animals. She was living the life she had always dreamed of. But as she worked hard to build her business and her home, she thought often of her father and grandmother. She hadn't seen them in years, and she wondered how they were doing. One day, after many years of hard work, Anna decided it was time to return to the village where she had grown up. She wanted to visit her father and grandmother, to show them how much she had changed and how far she had come. When she arrived at the old house, her heart raced. The small village hadn't changed much. The streets were still dirt roads, and the houses were as simple as they had always been. Anna walked down the path that led to her father's home. her footsteps light with excitement. When Anna entered the house, her father and grandmother were sitting by the fire. They looked up at her, their faces filled with surprise and joy. "Anna!" her father cried, standing up to embrace her. "My dear girl, you've come back to us." Her grandmother, who was now much older, smiled and opened her arms wide. "You've made us so proud, my dear. You are everything I hoped you would be." Anna hugged them both tightly. She was home, but in a different way. She was no longer the little girl who had left so many years ago. She was a woman now, strong, independent, and free. That night, they sat around the fire and talked. Anna told them about the life she had built, the work she had done, and the friends she had made. Her father was proud, and her grandmother's eyes sparkled with happiness. "You've done it, Anna," her grandmother said. "You've become the woman I always knew you could be." Anna smiled, feeling at peace. She had come full circle. Her journey had been long and full of hardships, but she had learned that with hard work, hope, and courage, she could overcome anything